Well, as people across the world are waking up this morning, it's important to remember, of course, that Christmas is not just about the gifts and Santa and all of the festivities, but it's also about faith, hope, and family. Here to discuss this, we're joined by the Catholic priest and founder of platinggrace.com, Father Leo. Father Leo, Merry Christmas. Great to have you with
Merry
us.
Christmas to you. Thank you very much.
You know, we've seen a lot of hardship around the world right now, war, inflation, violence, and, during a holiday, we certainly want to bring about the message of hope and happiness. But how do you kind of encapsulate that with the message of Christmas? And what has been the message to your parishioners this Christmas year?
Well, I think what we have to do is really focus on that historical person, namely Jesus Christ. And it is a little bit of a shame that somehow from the president's mouth, who is a practicing Catholic, and that's in quotations because, just because you live in this country doesn't necessarily mean you're American unless you really are espousing those beliefs of America the same way for Christianity, that Jesus is truly the focus of the season. Because if it is about gifts, they either break or they go out of style. But the one gift that really is a gift that keeps on giving is the gift of faith. And that faith has to be in something concrete. And in the Christian's case, it is a person, and that person's name is Jesus. But I will say this, I'm just grateful that at least the president recognized the gift of a child, which is why this is also a very pro-life celebration. Life is a gift.
Yeah. Father, I want to just get your reflections again this Christmas season. I myself went to Christmas Eve Mass last night, a beautiful, beautiful service, certainly a time for reflection in a moment that is quite difficult for a lot of Americans and people around the world, given what we even heard Pope Francis touch on in his address, his annual Christmas address, talking about the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, the war is obviously quite terrible, but there are also wars that we fight internally, and that is a war against sin and against pride. And I don't want to simplify any of the geopolitical struggles, but it really begins with a lack of the ability to love one another, to forgive one another, to make peace and friendship. If we start that on a local level and have reconciliation in our own hearts, then we're going to be able to grow that movement that requires love, forgiveness, peace. Words that a lot of people use, but it is a lot harder to put into practice. But it begins in ourselves, in our own prayer, in our own life.
And again, we're looking at live pictures right now of Vatican City, where Pope Francis did give his annual Christmas address a bit earlier. Beautiful, beautiful day there. It's interesting to reflect on the fact that, Father, unfortunately, we are seeing a decline right now in people keeping Christ out of Christmas. We saw this, of course, with our president dancing around it, maybe not wanting to alienate non-believers, people that don't believe in. And certainly we have an audience that is very diverse. We have a multi-faith community. But talk to us a little bit about the trend that we're seeing, or perhaps the departure from, again, a figure in our country, the commander-in-chief, who does have his own personal faith, but leaves something so important out of this Christmas message, particularly for Christians.
Yeah, I don't know if the word is important. I would say necessary, because obviously the whole purpose of this celebration is not Santa Claus or the gift giving. It is literally a person. By the way, that beautiful image of St. Peter's Square, I just lived right around the corner from that area for several years, and so back happy memories. But that very memory is something that I think we need to remember as we're trying to understand why people are so disconnected with their faith. And I'll be very honest with you. It's because people have become too stabilized in their faith. They need to kind of grow. In fact, I always tell people, you need to be a pilgrim. I invite come with me on a pilgrimage. I will show you these holy places around the world that have been inspired by the Catholic Church. And it'll not only make you proud, but it'll help you realize that what we believe isn't some made up thing. It is a historical reality, very tangible, and the incarnation of Jesus Christ, who is Son of God. We need to be connected to those sights and those sounds and those places. And so I say, if you really want to overcome these struggles, be a pilgrim in your faith.
Father Leo, what an incredible message, not just going into the Christmas and the holiday season, but certainly into the new year to go into that with. And I will remember that saying, be a pilgrim. Father Leo, Merry Christmas. We appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Merry Christmas to you.
No crooked establishment.
None of that
Twisting the truth.
No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax.
Newsmax.
They don't tell me how to think.
They let
me decide.
Newsmax.
Real news
For real people.